of the agenda, George Mendoza and I have decided to recuse ourselves from the voting because, as Maria mentioned, there's a limited amount of liquor licenses that have been made available by the city, and as we are both owners of businesses that are seeking those licenses, we've decided to recuse ourselves, and I'll be handing the meeting over to the Secretary, John Burton.
We don't believe that our bylaws stipulate that they must recuse themselves since they don't have direct financial interest, but we took a vote during the executive session that we thought that in the interest of not looking bad and being transparent, we wanted to let them recuse themselves. So we decided that we're going to do that at least for agenda item.
Thanks, sir. Good evening. My name's Bill Ferrullo. I'm an attorney for these individuals that you will meet one at a time. Let me explain several things before we start the individual presentations, and that is the city and the state have been struggling with the issue of liquor licenses and types of licenses, et cetera, for a number of years now in terms of trying to get a handle on what makes sense for the city, what makes sense in terms of businesses, how do you encourage businesses in the city, and so on and so forth. So a major departure back 10, 12 years ago was a piece of legislation was passed to add some additional licenses to the city of Boston. The city of Boston, unlike every other city and town in the Commonwealth, has a fixed number of licenses. Cities and towns generally have licenses numbered according to the amount, the number of residents in the town. So the larger the city and town, the more licenses they have. Boston is an exception to that rule. It's an old piece of legislation way back when that set a cap many, many years ago. So one piece of legislation was passed and some new licenses were issued back somewhere around 2000, 2001. Lo and behold, another piece of legislation was passed several years ago, and in that legislation it talked about having 5 licenses a year. That would be what are referred to as non-restricted. Meaning it created a category where licenses were earmarked to certain neighborhoods, Vermont not being one of the neighborhoods that it would be earmarked for, but the unrestricted would be able to go anywhere in the city. As a result of some drafting issues, that part of the legislation was left out in the course of the hurry to get the legislation passed, was remedied recently, and as a result thereof has freed up 5 licenses for what would have been 2014, 5 licenses for 2015 legislation. So 10 licenses came available suddenly. Those are available for either new restaurants or existing restaurants that have, in the instances that you're here tonight, beer, wine, and cordial license who would like to upgrade their license from beer, wine, and cordial to all alcohol. So that's the background as to why all of a sudden this is coming up. What we'd like to point out for all of these applicants in general is all of them currently hold licenses. Those licenses will be turned back to the city in the event that a new license is granted. So that would mean there's no net change in the number of licenses in the neighborhood. All of them are retaining the same operating hours that they currently have, so there's no change in operating and closing hours. None of them are asking for additional seating, So there'll be no increase in hours, there'll be no increase in seating, and none of them are changing any of the operations of their establishments, meaning they're not asking that any condition that exists today be changed as a result of obtaining the license. So the net change is to swap out beer, wine, and cordial licenses for all alcohol. So with that as background, and taking them individually, first I'd like to introduce you to Fury Colella and his daughter Patricia. They are applicants at the Cantina Italiana down the block on Hanover Street. That restaurant is the oldest operating restaurant in the North End. Fury's operated the restaurant for more than 35 years. That restaurant had an all-alcohol license since 1931. Back in 2001, Fury had the opportunity to buy the building at 250 Hanover Street, now known as Fury's Restaurant, to open a new restaurant at that time. When he did that, there were no licenses available, and there was also the policy in the neighborhood of not adding new licenses to the neighborhood. So he transferred the Cantina license down to Fury's, and that's the license that's there today. And what he did was he bought a North End license from another establishment and put it at the Cantina. So he's operated there with the beer, wine, and cordial since 2001, and would be asking to operate there under the all-alcohol license as it had been since 1931. Why? There are simple answers, is that with the nature, and I think you're going to see more and more of this, both in the press and otherwise, is a sense that beer, wine, and cordial, all alcohol, why do people have one or the other? And actually, usually it's a financial issue. All alcohol licenses are very expensive, beer, wine licenses are less expensive, but they also come with the fact that in this restaurant, for example, there are 145 seats, but a very small bar. The bar has 6 seats, I believe. There are 6 seats at the bar, so it's not a what you would call drinking place, etc. It's a restaurant because of its size has always catered to a family-style business. Fury and 2 of his daughters work in the 2 restaurants every day of the week, so you see them all the time, and it's been like that ever since he's opened. So this is an opportunity for him to try to place that license there. The reason why you're getting these things together is, my guess is there will be scores of applications across the city for these 10 licenses because they don't usually come up. And because of that, you're going to have quite the competition, including within the North End itself. You're going to see any number of applications, but again, for the ones that you will hear from tonight, there will be no change in anything about the restaurant that you would have seen if you went there tonight versus if they were able to obtain one of these licenses in the near future.
Does the board have any questions?
Have they given you any indication whether any establishments in this neighborhood would have a chance of getting one? Have they given you any odds at all?
There's no way, no.
Historically, how has it worked out?
The last time these came about, 2 of them went to the neighborhood. If I were to guess, and I don't remember exactly, maybe 8 or 10 people applied. It might have been more, and 2 of them. That was in
2006, 2007.
06, 07.
07.
07. Yeah, keeping in mind what people see in the North End is we have a very busy community. The whole theory of licensing is serving the general public. By our estimation of numbers, meaning how many people travel through the North End, visit the North End, live in the North End, etc. Probably the most trafficked location for dining that you have in the city, and that justifies both the number of restaurants and the types of licenses. So we believe it makes sense. Will we see 9 or 10 of the 10 come from the north end. I don't think so.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I don't think so, but.
Another clarification about not a chance, because it's been on the chat rooms of diverse North End sites, this BYOB policy doesn't have any in the near future, at least, possibility of also coming to the North End.
It's actually, if you look at it, it's a very limited piece of legislation on the BYOB, meaning very limited number. I don't know that there are many, if any, locations in the north end that have such small capacity. I want to say, I think it's 19 or fewer seats, number one. The idea behind it was to try to encourage places that outside the core of the city are kind of breakfast, lunch places that maybe they'd be able to open at night if they didn't have to spend so much money on a liquor license. Some places have indicated they would. Is it a good or bad idea? I'm not sure. I don't think they're sure because no one has a handle on the regulations, what kind of insurance they need, what kind of supervision they need and so forth. But it was geared towards those types of places, kind of lunch counter and smaller places that would never want to go on the market and buy a license.
Any other council members? We'll open it to the audience. Any butters? Anyone else? All right, let's please vote.
I move for a vote on the upgrade of the Cantina Italiana liquor license from a malt wine to cordials license to an all alcohol license.
I second.
And third.
I won the Santos.
The other thing that I would point out that you're going to notice about this is that all of these restaurants this evening have something in common, and that is, as I say, they are owner-operated establishments in the neighborhood. Most individuals live within a block or so of their restaurant. You're going to hear that as a refrain. Why? If you know the restaurants, I don't have to say it, meaning they're well-run, there've never been problems, so on and so forth. Let me get to restaurant number 2, Mare, which is DiPasquale Ventures. Joe DiPasquale is Frank's son, also one of his managers at his various restaurants. Frank could not make it tonight. He had planned to be away, so he's not here. If you haven't seen Mare, you haven't been by there, we invite you to take a look at what is the newest, as compared to the Cantina being the oldest, what is the newest restaurant in the North End that is actually quite spectacular, very attractive. What the DiPasquale have done is they took the Mare concept, which is seafood-based, Amalfi Coast menu, which used to be at the corner of Richmond and Knott Street, and they moved it to the location that Ida's restaurant used to be in that alleyway next to the post office, Dolce Vita. And in doing that, at great expense, they rebuilt that restaurant, and they've done an outdoor patio area, et cetera, which is quite spectacular. And I say that because I think similar to work that Frank DiPasquale and his family have done in the neighborhood is they do things very nice. It's a beautiful restaurant. It, once again, similarly to what I mentioned in the last, has a very small bar, so once again, it's not set up that way. It has a total of 8 seats at what is an oyster bar and a seafood bar. 6 of those are inside and 2 are on the outside. The restaurant, as mentioned, is a new life of a restaurant that was on Richmond Street and has had a beer, wine, and cordial. We would point out, again, I don't have to tell you, that the The DePasquale's own a number of restaurants and businesses in the neighborhood. In addition to Mare, all of them exemplary in terms of the quality of their service and the quality of their food. And you've heard me in the past when Frank has done any number of these, that when he does it the way it should be done, and very, upscale and hopefully a credit. The other common thing with a lot of these individuals, they're very active in the community, they're very active in organizations in the community, both charitable and otherwise. And we submit again, this is a rare opportunity, and this would be an ideal location, once again, to have an upgrade of the license in a very beautiful new restaurant. So,
Bill, Councilmember? Any audience questions? All right, then I will ask for a motion to vote on the upgrade of Mare liquor license from wine and malt cordial license to all alcohol.
let me introduce somebody who's just come from the board. To my left, Judge Mendoza. The Mendoza family, with little for me to say because their actions speak for themselves. They are very active in this community. They all live in the community. It's three brothers and their families, George, Frank, and Patrick. They operate the Vinoteca on Richmond. And they operate the restaurant that we're about to talk about, which is the Trattoria on Prince. And they also operate the Mercato on Salem Street. Once again, all very fine establishments with great credit to the family, and they represent the neighborhood well. This restaurant started as a very small restaurant and recently was given permission to expand to what was a restaurant next door. They were originally at 69. 67 was Sage Restaurant that Anthony Susi ran for a number of years. Vice versa. I got the 69, 67 backwards. I apologize. But Anthony Susi's restaurant changed hands a couple of times. Grezzo and I can't remember, it was a Mexican restaurant there for a short while. George and his brothers approached the landlord, same building actually, and rented that space, or in the process of rehabilitating that space so that the restaurant would be a 48-seat restaurant at that location. Very homey if you've been in, both in terms of the menu, in terms of the service, and a lovely small restaurant. We would point out in this one, as opposed to the last one, there is no bar. And as a matter of fact, that is a license condition on this that's existed, saying no bar in this particular location. Even with the renovation, there will not be room or space to have bar service with the 48 seats that they would have. Once again, it will be the same service that they currently have as far as dining, the same hours of operation, which is 11 o'clock during the week and 12 o'clock on the weekend. And they would hope that, again, with the new renovation that's about to take place, that the new restaurant would be one of the qualifying restaurants for the upgrade of the license. If you want to add anything to that, Joe?
Well, we seek the support of our community. We have about 500 letters of support. We have about 500 signatures of support in addition to that. And as always, we're on your side. We're here to work with you for the better future of the hotel. And we'd love to continue to do that with an opportunity, with a better opportunity on Prince Street if we happen to obtain that full license. Thank you for your support as always.
Councilmembers?
I'll make a motion to upgrade.
Let me just, I know it's based on, they're good members of the community and that, but I still want to open up to the audience just in
Oh,
case
I
they've got
thought you
questions.
already did, sorry.
But hearing none, like to make the motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion to upgrade Monica's cafeteria wine, malt, and cordial to alcohol license.
Second.
And last but not least is also somebody who's shopping on the other side of the road, but for anyone who doesn't know, Philip Frateroli is the owner of Ducali Restaurant, which is on Causeway Street. His dad is sitting right here at the second table, who owns the adjoining Filippo's Restaurant. The Frateroli family has been operating restaurants in the city and in the neighborhood for more than 35 years. Filippo started his first venture in East Boston well before his son was able to sweep floors or clean dishes, etc., and has been at Filippo's for a number of years. The family has also been involved at Lucia's restaurant, Lucia's in Winchester, and so on and so forth. And Philip decided that he would venture in his own restaurant, and that is Ducali. And Ducali was established 2009 in what Phil saw as something that if you closed your eyes and you went in, you would think you were in Italy as opposed to being in the North Station area. It has that local neighborhood feel, whether it's empty or whether it's full, meaning the nature of it, the look of it, the design of it itself, as well as when you go in and there are people in it, people feeling very comfortable in that restaurant. Phil's future, excuse me, 1 second. It's a reminder to call my 94-year-old mother before I leave for the evening. So Phil opened the restaurant so that he could make a mark of his own. I think he has. I think it's extremely well received in the neighborhood. I don't have to say that the family is extremely active in all types of all types of community activities, be they, again, charitable or otherwise. And again, what he's asking is that he's not going to be changing anything about the restaurant, the menu, the service, the hours. This restaurant does have bar service. It has 11 seats and bar at the rear of it. I point out always the nature of dining, especially in the neighborhood, has changed. We don't operate too many places down here that are ours, meaning walk into Ducali, walk into any of these restaurants, people dine sitting there, whether you're at the Oyster Bar or Mare, whether you're at the small bar in Cantina, and so on and so forth. It's the nature of people either being out on their own single, or people just going in wanting to get a bite to eat and be able to talk to other people there. So these aren't bar operations. 11 seat doesn't make this a bar room type of place. It doesn't make it a nightclub type of place. And Phil would like again to have the same opportunity to upgrade this so that the restaurant continues in that vein and continues to be successful.
The state made us very hungry during these presentations.
I just wanted to say-
Signatures of support or anything like that?
Yeah, we have about 400. I have to catch up with George. I just want to say that when we opened in 2009, we were kind of in a no man's land with the exception of my dad's restaurant. There weren't a lot of restaurants in North Station. There weren't really many where we are. And since that time, you know, the neighborhood where we are, that sub-neighborhood, especially in North Station, has changed a lot. And mostly towards restaurants that have full alcohol licenses and can do, you know, kind of hip cocktail programs that we're not permitted to do with just a limited license. And we, you know, have had a perfect record, never had an issue with the licensing board, and we run I run my business rather well, I think, and, you know, I think this would just be a natural progression of where our sub-neighborhood is going and what we need to compete going forward.
You're gonna do hip cocktail receptions, is that what I hear?
I'm gonna try.
Good try.
All right, any
Maximize
council?
off, so yeah.
I'm sorry. Do we have any questions from council members? And the audience or others? Then I'll ask for another motion.
I vote for a move on the upgrade of the Ducali liquor license from wine and malt with cordials license to an all alcohol license.
Earlier, items 10 through 13, we recused both George Mendoza and Phil Federoli, but they were all unanimously supported in favor. That is Cantina Italiana, R.A. Monica's, and my colleague. And those individuals are John Pregman, Jessica Del Russo, Tom Margarino, Sean Hennessy, Gennaro Riccio, and Devin Tagliaferro, and Ralph.
That adjourns our meeting for September, January, June, February.